Hey, hi everyone. It's Emil Guillermo. Emil, Amok to you. I couldn't stay away. I've got a show tonight. My call time's in an hour at Theater for the New City in New York City on First Avenue and 10th Street here in the East Village. I really like the East Village. I really enjoy being in New York City, and I think it's because I'm not a tourist. I'm actually experiencing it as a guy who has to dodge all those Grubhub guys and bikes. They got all these bikers, bicyclists. I mean, in the old days, there were bike messengers, in New York City, like flying around because there were no fax machines. Now, people don't want to go down to their favorite restaurant. There's Grubhub and all those people, and they're on bikes, and it's treacherous out there. I mean, I used to be a bike guy, bicyclist in New York when I was younger, in my teens, and I visited the city. But it's treacherous now, if you're a resident. So anyway, I'm experiencing New York as a resident, which is very different than being a tourist and saying, "Oh, what time is the Met, open today? And how am I going to get to the Whitney? And what's for lunch?" And no, I'm a resident. While I'm in this play, I'm in two plays. Well, I finished off Emil Amok, Lost NPR host, but now I'm in The Conductor. Ishmael reads The Conductor at Theater for the New City, 8 o'clock tonight. Uh, I would say, when you come back after a couple of days off, Thursday night's good, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday's our last show. So you got to check that out. And if you're watching on YouTube, there it is, ovationtix.com slash 35441. That's how you get tickets. Or you can go to the theater. 1875 ain't cheap. I mean, it's not a Broadway show, it's an off-Broadway show. But it's about stuff that Broadway doesn't talk about. Well, Broadway talks about it too, but they always throw in a song. They always throw in some kind of, you know, uh, spectacle, right? Because that's how they justify charging $100 a ticket. But this is off Broadway, downtown. It's really people's theater, and here's how I know. Here's how I know this is true. Because the people who've reviewed the show aren't like the Times and you know actually there aren't very many papers here in the city. The Post, in terms of mainstream, but the publications that have reviewed The Conductor have been primarily what I call the new underground media, which is the ethnic media. This was a review that just came out today in the New York Amsterdam News, which is pretty highly reputable, um, you know, member of the black ethnic media. This is an excerpt from Ron Scott's Jazz Notes in today's New York Amsterdam News. He writes, in this 21st century, it is becoming more arduous to differentiate the homogenized truth of the corporate news media from reality. Isn't that the truth? But what happens when the novelist, poet, and playwright Ishmael Reed brilliantly drops a bomb on this cloud of hypocrisy in his new two-act play, The Conductor? It's playing at the Theater for the New City, 155 First Avenue through March 26. This is the last week. This play, his 11th, represents his longtime reputation as a word warrior challenging America's inaccuracies of deliberate untruth through his coined activist phrase and book title, Writing is Fighting, one of my favorite anthologies of Ishmael's work. The Conductor, directed by Carla Blank, sheds light on the recall of members of the San Francisco Unified School District Board of Education in 2021-22. While the press saw the recall as the expression of Chinese American parents objecting to admission to an elite high school based on a lottery system instead of merit, excellence, or grades, it would not have been successful without the funds provided by billionaires. The game is to advance regressive policies, dismantle affirmative action, which seems to be gaining momentum among right wingers. We're going to talk about affirmative action in a bit, and ban racial justice education by forcing conversations about racial equality and LGBTQ rights at the school board level. Ordinarily, And that's an easy plot, except Reed never goes for the obvious. As the master of satire, he drops Parmar smack into, let's see, oh, I got to introduce Parmar, sorry. Well versed in the art of divide and conquer, the backers of the recall used some minority faces to front the recall while they attempted to remain in the background. All right, I need to get that bridge in there. In Reed's play, the character Shashi Parmar is that face, Indian American. Ordinarily, that's an easy plot, except Reed never goes for the obvious. As the master of satire, he drops Parmar smack into a 21st century underground railroad system where he is the runaway needing help to escape back to his native land of India. Ironically, his conductor is none other than the play's main character, Warren Chip, a progressive black columnist who lost his jobs because he supported the lottery, and it was Parmar who signed the petition for his newspaper dismissal. Hence, you get the conductor, you have this new underground railroad. Anyway, that's sort of like the background or the backbone of the play. But this reviewer says the conductor, like an Ornette Coleman solo, dances in a multiplicity of high notes and fluctuating improvs that keep audiences on the edge of their seats wondering what's next. That's, now this is from a critic who writes for the New Amsterdam News, a jazz critic who is appreciating the work of Ishmael. He says, just joined Chips on his couch, viewing the White Lightning Network, looks like Fox News. In a world of insanity, sometimes it's difficult to tell the sane from the insane. The conductor points you in the right direction. And then here's where he praises everybody. The tight-knit cast, like a swinging jazz ensemble. Oh, wow. That's what it's like. Consists of Brian Simmons, who is extremely forceful as Warren Chip. He very good performer. Imran Javed, persuasive as Shashi Parmar. Laura Robards playing a hilarious, convincing head of buttermilk duckbill, conservative TV host. Nonisha Shiva, great as Lala Parmar. This is her third role in a Reed play. Kenya Wilson, she's very good too. Kenya Wilson is good, offering various opinions as Melody Wells. And Emil Guillermo, it says, and he spells Guillermo right, taking on roles as the nosy neighbor and TV host Gabriel Noatalde, who he misspells Noatalde. It's Noatalde, Noatalde, Noatalde. And look, I'm quibbling here, but I appreciate a jazz critic who's writing about a play calling this an ensemble, like a swinging, jazz ensemble. The conductor cast is compelling in one of this year's most realistic plays on or off Broadway. So, to get tickets, either to see it live in person or to see it live streamed, call 212-254-1109, 212-254-1109, theaterforthenewcity.net. It's on First Avenue if you're in New York City. I read that review because Ishmael's play has gotten at least 4 reviews, all in the new underground media of the people, websites that cater to specifically ethnic audiences, and specifically the African American community, which makes me wonder, why isn't the New York Times, reviewing the play? Why isn't the Post reviewing the play? Why aren't the white mainstream folks reviewing the play? And it could be that they don't understand it. It could be that this is one of the siloed ideas that's happening in the media, where you can't get a comprehensive view of the world. You get a view that agrees with your audience. If your audience is all white, you give them that view. I don't think that's being too harsh. I mean, after the Asians, swept these major awards with Everything Everywhere all at once at the Oscars, for the Times to put up a picture of Jamie Lee Curtis, Best Supporting Actor, to really totally miss the point about this breakthrough for essentially an Asian American film in the modern day, the Oscars. I mean, it's pretty incredible, I would say. Anyway, so not surprising that you're not going to see mainstream media talk about the conductor, although they should. It's really talking about where things are happening, because if the people have to fight for their public schools, if the people have to fight for the truth being taught at the public schools, because the school districts and school boards are being taken over by mostly Republican conservatives who want to restrict the truth, want to restrict the kind of history that's taught. I'm telling you, the new battlegrounds are these grassroots education battles. Just this week, Houston Public Schools, Houston Independent School District, reports are that they were taken over by the GOP. And if you don't think that should be an alarm, who do you think is going to influence what is taught at the Houston Independent School District? But the Republican Party in Texas. What, Greg Abbott, the guy who would take people at the border and ship them to liberal spots like New York and Boston and Washington, D.C. as a kind of prank or as a kind of protest. This is a real thing. And to take the school board, the situation in San Francisco, and to make it more national, I think is prescient on the part of Ishmael Reed, because this is the coming battleground for the minds of our youth. And if they're not exposed to the truth because school boards are deciding curriculum that's conservative, that refuses to teach people, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. I'm just saying that we're in trouble. Anyway, the conductor. I'm in it tonight. Tonight should be a good show. We're on Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 8 p.m. and then the 26th Sunday at 3 p.m. I think that final show should be a winner. I mean, if I were holding out to see which show I would go to, Sunday might be a good one. I think we're every day is going to be. This is a show, a week that we're going to. That I know the cast is going to really savor, right? Because you're part of a family, you bond, you're doing your thing. You actually get better with each and every show. This last week is going to be a good one. So once again, if you're looking for tickets, call Theater for the New City, 212-254-1109, 212-254-1109, or just show up, 8 o'clock showtime. Tickets just $18.75 a ticket. You go to half price tickets, in New York City and Times Square there, $18.75 isn't half price. I don't think. I don't. I dropped some here. I don't think. I mean, Broadway's pricey. This is off Broadway, and off Broadway is reasonable. And the stuff that that you see off Broadway is going to be different. No song and dance for the establishment, not in Ishmael Reed's place. The Conductor at Theater for the New City. Okay, so I said I was going to talk about some other things, and we're going to do it quick. I said I wasn't going to do these kind of shows live, but the fact is I enjoy doing these shows, and it's freeing versus, say doing the reels on Instagram, and that's sort of what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to do more reels on Instagram. I do this on Facebook because, just familiarity, but it's also American made. Facebook, Instagram versus TikTok. And if you've been watching the news, that was the big news of the day. You had the CFO of TikTok, or the head guy at TikTok, show Chow, I believe his name. Anyway, he was out there defending TikTok, and it was one of the first times in this divided government that you could see an issue that brought left and right, Democrats and Republicans together, which is refreshing to say the least. Uh, I have been toying with TikTok. I do have an account. Haven't posted anything. I have a tutor who has told me how to do things on TikTok, but I have resisted. I've resisted because I am concerned, not because the Chinese will have access to any of my secrets, but China and TikTok uh, are in cahoots. They try to deny it, but every time the the heads of TikTok have been pressured into either denying or uh, saying something against China, they've refused to do so. I mean, the key point: the Uyghurs, the the uh, the Uyghur situation, which I talked about at length during the Olympics in China, the suppression, the genocide of the Uyghurs, serious business. China downplays it. TikTok will not will not denounce what China is doing, which means they're sensitive to what China will do. They try to say there's a distance, there's a firewall between what TikTok in the US does with, versus, their connection with China, but it's not deep enough or not a significant enough firewall, not if they're still beholden to the Chinese. And so, no matter what the CEO or the head of TikTok could say today, nothing seemed to answer that question about the protection of individual Americans, both adults who are doing their funny little dances and teenagers who are doing everything. Not to mention all the uh, the content providers who are making a lot of money off TikTok. But if there are options that are safer, why not go to those options? And the other options are Facebook and YouTube and and Twitter and um, Instagram Reels, all options, all just as addictive, all made in America, and don't have the political baggage that TikTok has. And it was almost like watching a TikTok reel or a scroll, one congressman or congressperson after the other grilling um, the head of TikTok, and he could provide no good answer except to try to say that, hey, look, we're setting up this project in Texas. We have it on individual servers in the United States. We have our board that's separate from China, but ultimately they could not break away from the fact or could not get away from the idea that TikTok is still a Chinese owned company. And TikTok is still serving at the pleasure of the Communist Chinese Party. No matter how many American firewalls, it's not safe enough from or secure enough from any kind of meddling by the Chinese government, by the Chinese Communist Party. Nothing was said today that would make you feel comfortable that that wouldn't happen. And that when the Chinese Communist Party comes and says toe the line, nothing was said today that says that TikTok would say, hey, screw you, Chinese Communist Party, we're in America. Nothing was said today that would assuage any fears that China could come in and do whatever they wanted to TikTok. That is just the way it is. And so I am going to be still very cautious about TikTok. I know some friends of mine are on it. A lot of them are. I'm sure some of the congressmen who were talking were on TikTok. Well, on their own personal devices, because now it's discouraged for to have TikTok on any kind of government device. But I say it's still kind of dangerous. And the real problem they don't even talk much about is not the security concerns, you know, China getting your information. But the propagandistic tool, you know, you rely on this tool, you know, for information. How do you know you're not getting misinformation? And how do you know that this addictive tool isn't somehow putting ideas out there, misinformation, propaganda that could influence young impressionable minds and even some older impressionable minds in the future? That is the other real concern that no one seems to talk about. I mean, no one really seems to grasp. I mean, because when you talk to people who are on TikTok, they'll say, "Oh, you know, come on, China. Everyone has, everyone has, you know, everyone has, you know, your information anyway, Emil. Come on, you know, get real." I mean, it's just not. It shouldn't be a concern. That's what they say, but no, it's a concern. It's a real concern. So I think this idea, the propagandistic tool idea, they can't get around that. And when people, young, and I mean younger people especially, when I mean they're the most susceptible. They're the next generation. Now here's a loyal viewer. Juanita Soleil Wilson says, "I've deleted TikTok off my phone." Well, you know, I think that's kind of the way I am. I haven't deleted it off my phone, but I don't use it, and they're not getting any information out of me. But I'm also, I mean, if you do it strictly for, you know, some of the funnies, right? The entertainment, that's one thing. But there's a sinister part where they'll give you things that will challenge what you think about certain things, be it in entertainment or in news. That's where it's dangerous. And I think we should be cautious. I think the stance we should take is American products, just like, you know, American cars over, you know, America first. If you want to be an America firster, you shouldn't be on TikTok. That's just the way it is. Um, or if you think you're strong enough, if you think you're strong enough to say, I can avoid the propaganda. I mean, you say that now, but and you get information in your head and you say, hey, you know, Chinese communism, yeah, not so bad. You know, Uyghurs getting, you know, genocide of Uyghurs, not so bad. I mean, I saw something on TikTok. They said, oh no, the Uyghurs, they're like living a life in China. See, that's how dangerous it is, right? I mean, all you see is, all right, you say that maybe it's a balance. That's how you get balance in ideas and information. You get it off TikTok. Well, if you know it's not truthful in the first place, you got to be worried about that. So anyway, so the TikTok wars, watch it on C-SPAN. It's fascinating to see what the Republicans and Democrats come together on this. But at no time can the head of TikTok say, yeah, I can protect, make sure that people watching, people using TikTok won't get hurt. Can't say that. And I'm talking from minor to major things. So, all right, a couple other things I want to get into. Um, I the Trump idea. The Trump idea. I guess they're going to wait till next week. Check out my column on the ALDEF blog, aaldef.org/blog. And frankly, I think it says something about the Republican Party that the best the Republican Party can do is say, hey, you know, Donald Trump, yeah, he's our guy. I mean, they can't reject him. They can't quit him. And this is true with Asian Americans who are backing Trump. I mean, when the Trump phenomenon began in 2016, I had a, you know, acquaintance. He'd be my barometer. Are you ready to quit him now? Every time Trump would do something outrageous, outside of the norms, I'd say, "Are you ready to quit him?" No, he was not ready to quit him. Uh, I just think now when we're, and you could poke holes at New York DA Alvin Bragg's um, case. We don't know his case though. We don't really know his case yet. But the grand jury thinks, well, they might bring back Michael Cohen. They might not. Trump had a lawyer who represented Cohen try to badmouth Cohen to cast aspersions on what he said. But I think that there might be enough next week. And if it happens, I I just hope that I'm still I'm still waiting for that not perp walk. They say he may not, Trump may not have the perp walk, but I think he wants the perp walk. I think Trump, his fantasy is maybe to have the perp walk while having some kind of sex act or something. I mean, he wants to make it like some kind of bombastic splash. Maybe that'll happen, but it's gonna be next week because the grand jury isn't meeting again to vote on an indictment this week. They came back today and then they were released. They're not coming back Friday. So next week, I'm still holding out. I still think, yeah, it's going to happen. And meanwhile, all these other things are happening in New York or in Florida about the uh, the attorney-client privilege being set aside because they feel a crime has been committed in the documents case in Mar-a-Lago. Now, I've been watching the news, and it's funny. It's like everyone said, "No, this is a separate case, so they're not connected." Look, they're all separate cases. It just shows you uh, the sheer mass of legal liability that Trump has right now. And this is a guy, he won't have time to be president. He will not have time to be. He'll have time going to court and fighting all these cases. He won't have time to campaign. He won't have, if he wins, he won't have time to be president. I think he should, instead of like having a presidential library, he should have well, maybe it's a presidential legal library because there will be a ton of, there's, these four cases again. He's already twice impeached. I just think that we are in this unprecedented situation where a former president is, has been exposed in all these many ways, and he's not even built up on maybe the most significant thing. And I think, if you're Asian American, you know, it's not really a legal matter, but if you want to talk about crimes against humanity, his insistence calling the COVID-19 either the Kung flu or the China virus has resulted in over approaching 12,000 instances of minor to major transgressions, hate transgressions against Asian Americans in 3 years. I mean, I don't know if there's a legal case against the president, but if there were, I mean, that's a crime that I would love to see, Trump called up on, and see, how he defends himself. It's COVID. It's he's that's a serious crime. I mean that. Anyway, all right. So Trump. I was also going to talk about. Oh, the New Yorker has come out with something. You read New Yorker columns. They're more long-winded than I am. I know it's hard to believe, isn't it? But Jeannie Suk Gerson is her name, right? Jeannie Suk. I believe she's Asian American. She got wind of some kind of sidebar information in the Harvard affirmative action case, and she wanted it released, made a big stink. Um, Finally, she got the judge to release it, and now in the latest edition of the New Yorker, she talks about this joke, an Asian American joke. I am not sure if the joke is, well, I I think Gerson was arguing that we need to see the joke if it shows a bias on the part of Harvard or for whatever it shows. But I think even she understands or believes that the joke was really between friends and intended, and it was initially written. The joke memo was written by an Asian American, Thomas Sabino, who worked at the Japanese American Citizens League (JACL), but also worked at the Office for Civil Rights in Boston. And he wrote something to Dean William Fitzsimmons, who's been working at Harvard admissions for more than 50 years. So it was an inside joke. And I guess some people would think that maybe this was a smoking gun or to show some kind of bias on the part of Harvard. I don't think it does. And I'm reading the joke because finally they get to the joke that it was in a memo, November 30th, 2012, and it involves a Filipino American, a fictional Filipino American named Jose, who has been the sole supporter of his family of 14 since his father, a Filipino farm worker, got run over by a tractor. That's not the funny part. But then it just talks about how he, what a great applicant, but he was dismissed as just being another AACJer. I don't know what an AACJer is, Asian American CJer. I know what CJ means, but it says it's Harvard admission shorthand for an Asian American applicant who intends to study biology, become a doctor. And so, along with telling of this joke, there was some banter between Fitzsimmons and Habino, which is that relevant? See, I don't think it's relevant. I mean, just saying it right now, it's interesting. I don't think it's relevant. It doesn't show that there's institutional bias at Harvard. It doesn't even show a kind of personal bias, but it shows that an Asian American guy told a joke about another Asian American, fictional, to a guy who's now dean of admissions. It was in poor taste. It may have been bad. Does it change anything about either the decision that was made by the judge? Does it change the outcome? Did it show anything? The Students for Fair Admissions, which is the proxy the Chinese Asian American proxy white group, feels that it does. I don't think so. Anyway, I'll write more about it in my column, an upcoming column on the Aldef blog. But I think it's interesting. I mean, I wanted to be up to date because should any of you subscribe to the New Yorker and see it, you might say, oh, I wonder what Emil has to say about this. Plenty. It's coming up. Anyway, I got to go prepare for the show. Once again, The Conductor at Theater for the New City. Check it out. Rewind, read, or see me read part of that New Amsterdam news review. But you can go to go to ci.ovationtix.com/35441. Get your tickets online. Just show up to Theater for the New City. It's on First Avenue and 10th $18.75 for tickets. So Thursday tonight, 8 o'clock, Friday at 8 o'clock, Saturday at 8 o'clock, and then Sunday, 3 o'clock. Okay, that's it for me. Gotta go. Gotta get ready for the show. Hey, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being there. Back again probably tomorrow. Just because, I can't quit it. I can't stay away from you. I'm Emil Guillermo. Until next time. Oh, I gotta say that my meditation. I like to meditate. Loving kindness. It's all about loving kindness. It's always about loving yourself. So, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal Kita.